Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alhamdulillah. Wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man wala. Amma ba'du. Then we are going to continue with the Fadail, Ta'allumi al-Qur'an wa Ta'limihi wa Qira'atihi, the virtues of learning and teaching and reciting the Qur'an. Here in the green box here it says Shafa'atu al-Qur'ani li sahibihi fil akhirah. The intercession of the Qur'an for its companion in the hereafter. قال صلى الله عليه وسلم اقرأوا القرآن فإنه يأتي يوم القيامة شفيعا لأصحابه. اقرأوا is a command verb, fil amr. Fil amr is telling you read the Quran. It's for the plural. Iqra'u for plural. Right? Telling all of us. Iqra'u what? Iqra' al-Qur'an. Maf'ulun bihi mansub. That's the reason for the fatha. Iqra'u al-Qur'an. Read the Qur'an. فَإِنَّهُ يَأْتِي. For verily it comes from ata ya'ti, to come. فَإِنَّهُ يَأْتِي. So it's going to come يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. Yawm al-Qiyamah is mudaf ilay. Yawma is mansoob here because it is the dharf of zaman. When is it going to come? It's going to come on the day of judgment. Right? The day of standing. When we will be standing in order to be judged. Shafi'an. Innahu ya'ti yawm al-Qiyamah shafi'an. Shafi'an meaning as an intercessor. This is the reason. Maf'ulun li ajlihi. Why is it coming? It's coming to intercede. Li ashabihi. For its companions. Rawahu Muslim. اقرأوا القرآن فإنه يأتي يوم القيامة شفيعا لأصحابه. Read the Quran, for verily it's going to come on the day of judgment as an intercessor for its companions. وقال صلى الله عليه وسلم الصيام والقرآن يشفعان للعبد يوم القيامة. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. الصيام والقرآن, fasting. الصيام, fasting. والقرآن, and the Quran. يشفعان, the dual form of to intercede. Yashfi'ani. They're going yashfa'ani, not yashfi, yashfa. Yashfa'ani. Yashfa'ani. They're going to intercede lil abdi, for the worshipper. They're going to intercede for the worshipper. Yawm al-Qiyamah, on the day of judgment. And again, Yawm al-Qiyamah is mudaf ilay, but Yawma is mansoob because it's the dharf of zaman. It is the time that we are doing this, right? When is it going to happen? Right? Yawm al-Qiyamah. Rawahu Ahmadu wal-Hakimu. Ahmed and al-Hakim narrated it. So fasting and the Quran are going to come are going to intercede for the worshipper on the day of judgment, the day of standing when we will stand to be judged. Are there any questions?
No.
طيب. أجر الاجتماعي. أجر الاجتماعي, because it is مضاف إليه. The reward for gathering. اجتماع, from the word جمع, جمعة, right? أجر الاجتماع, the reward for gathering. لتلاوته for its recitation. وتدارسه and its for its recitation and its teaching or learning. As we'll get there inshallah. This word tadaras, this is a form 6 verb, and it has to do with reciprocation, going back and forth, right? So you're reciting to the sheikh, he's correcting you. One brother recites to you, you recite it to him. And the hadith is going to make it clear, bi'idhnillah. So this is the ajr for gathering, the reward for gathering, to recite it and to study it. Right? To study it. Usually when you study, you have a study partner. So you can give him your book and he can ask you questions and like this. قال صلى الله عليه وسلم ما اجتمع قوم في بيت من بيوت الله. It's a sukoon, a kasra on that ha. بيوت الله. Ma here is the ma of nafi. Ma an-nafiya, the ma which negates. Ma ijtama'a, or we just say here majtama'a. That qawmun here is your file, so it's marfu'. A people do not gather. Fi baytin, in a house, and bayt is majroor after fi. Min buyutillah. Min buyutillah. Buyut is majroor after min. And Allah lafzul jalala is majroor because it is mudaf ilayh to buyut. So majtama'a qawmun fi baytin min buyutillah. A people, or we would say, because it says a people, it's nakira, it's indefinite with the tanween there. We might say no people gather in a house from the houses of Allah. In English we might say that. No people gather in a house from the houses of Allah Ta'ala, the Most High. Yatluna, from ta, lam, alif. However, if you're going to look it up, you're going to look it up under ta, lam, wow in Hans Word Dictionary, meaning to recite. Tilawa. It's the same. It's the verb of the noun tilawa. Tilawa yatluna. Yatluna, reciting what? Kitab Allah. Reciting the book. Book is maf'ulun bihi, mansub. Lafzul jalala, majroor, mudaf ilayh. Majtama'a qawmun fi baytin min buyutillahi ta'ala yatluna kitab Allah. No people gather in a house from the houses of Allah Ta'ala, reciting the book of Allah. وَيَتَدَارَسُونَهُ بَيْنَهُمْ. And here we have that verb, يَتَدَارَسُ, meaning that they are going back, they're studying it, going back and forth with one another. بَيْنَهُمْ, between themselves. Baina, between, hum, between themselves. Between them. They're studying it between them. But in English we say themselves. Illa, except, nazalat alayhimu as-sakina. Nazalat, to come down. Nazalat. Nazala yanzilu. Nazalat alayhim. It comes down upon them. What comes down upon them? As-sakina. Sakina is your file, so it is marfu'. Sakina comes down upon them, meaning peace and tranquility. Sakina, from the root sin, kaf, noon. Like the word second, your house. When you go home, you want to relax. You want to be in peace. You don't want to buy a house on the busiest street. You don't want to buy a house on Broadway because of all the noise out there, the people walking by, the cars honking horns, so on and so forth. The businesses, the delivery trucks driving up and down and delivering goods, and people whistling and yelling for people down. You don't want to live there. You want to live in a place which is peaceful, right? Which that's why it's called a second. When you go home, you don't want people. You don't want to check your email for work and your answer phone calls from work. You want peace. The second. So, nazalat alayhimu as-sakina. This dhamma here on this meme is for reading purposes. Normally there's a sukoon there. Alayhum. Right? However, because of the sukoon on this first scene, then we have the iltiqa sakinain, so we have to put a dhamma there to prevent the two sukoons from meeting one another. Nazalat alayhum as-sakina. وغشيتهم الرحمة. غشيتهم. غشية from غين شين يا. غين شين يا, meaning to cover, right? To put a cover on it, as we have in the beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah. وَعَلَى أَبْصَارِهِمْ غِشَاوَةٌ وَغَشِيَتْهُمْ الرَّحْمَةُ. And mercy, ar-rahma, covers them. Rahma is your file, so it's marfu'. It's the doer of the ghashya here. It's going to cover them. وَحَفَّتْهُمْ الْمَلَائِكَةُ. Again, these dhammas on these memes are for reading purposes, right? حَفَّتْهُمْ الْمَلَائِكَةُ. Right? Al-Malaika marfu' because it's the file. And the angels, haffathum, coming from ha-fa, meaning to surround. Haffa, as we have the hadith in Bukhari and Muslim, huffat al-jannah bil-maqarih, that Jannah is surrounded by disliked things. Wa huffat al-jahannam or huffat al-nar bishahwa, or kama qala sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the hellfire surrounded by desires, right? Wa haffathum al malaika, and the angels are going to surround them. Majtama'a qawmun fi baytin min buyutillah ta'ala. No group of people gather in a house from the houses of Allah the Most High. Yatluna kitabullahi, reciting the book of Allah. وَيَتَدَارَسُونَ بَيْنَهُمْ, and studying it amongst themselves. إِلَّا نَزَلَتْ عَلَيْهِمُ السَّكِينَةُ, except that this peace and tranquility is going to descend upon them. وَغَشْيَتْهُمُ الرَّحْمَةُ, and rahmah is going to cover them. وَحَفَتْهُمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ, and the angels are going to surround them. وَذَكَرَهُمُ اللَّهُ فِي مَنْ عِنْدَهُ, and this Allah lafzul jalala is going to have a dhamma on that ha. Dhakarahumullah, and Allah is going to mention them. Dhakara meaning to mention. Hum meaning Allah mentions them. Allah mentions them. Fi man, in those, or with those, indahu, who are with him. He mentions them to those who are with him. Rawahu Abu Dawood. This hadith is in Abu Dawood. So these are encouragements for us to gather, to show up at Asr time, to show up, to stay back after Fajr if possible, to gather in our house because Allah owns our houses as well. And the scholars include any place that we study, whether it be a school or work or a house or a masjid, although the masjid is the most beloved place to Allah. And study this book. Find you a study partner. Do not become a mushafi. Do not become someone who takes from the mushaf itself and does not have a teacher and study partners. And this is an encouragement for that. Are there any questions? Is the word yatluna? Yes. It's jam' mudhakkar salim. Yatluna. Jam' mudhakkar salim. This is jam' mudhakkar salim. Any questions? طيب. من أحكام القراءة, from the ahkam, the plural of hukm, the rulings of qira'ah. من أحكام القراءة, from the rulings of recitation. Muhammad looks like she's typing, so I'm gonna wait a second. While she types, after nazalat, it says alayhim. Yes. Yeah, alayhim, same thing. Alayhim. If you say alayhim, it's for reading. It's for ease of. It's for ease. But if you say alayhim, it's no problem. In fact, some of the recitations of the Qur'an, it says غير صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Both are permissible. Both are permissible. Fikum barak. Adab al-qira'ah. Adabu al-qira'ah. Adabu al-qira'ati. The manners. Adab is the singular. Adab is the plural. Adab al-qira'ah. The manners or the etiquettes of recitation. ذكر ابن كثير. ذكر, he mentioned. Ibn Kathirin. Ibn Kathir mentioned adabin. He mentioned manners. He mentioned some etiquettes regarding recitation. Minha, from them. أن لا يمس القرآن ولا يقرأه إلا وهو طاهر. And that he not yamassa, from massa yamassu, here it's mansub because of an la yamassa, that he does not touch. Massa yamassu, to touch. That he does not touch what? Al-Qur'an, maf'ulun bihi, mansub. Wala yaqra'uhu, and again yaqra'a is mansub because of the an, and that he does not read it. Yaqra'ahu, he does not read it, meaning the Qur'an. Illa, except, wa huwa tahir, and he is pure, meaning he has tahara, he has wudu. That he does not touch or recite the Qur'an except with wudu. And this is a recommendation. The Prophet ﷺ used to recite the Qur'an in any state. And some scholars say even when he was junub, even when he was sexually in sexual defilement. Right? However, most scholars say, the majority say, do not recite the Qur'an in sexual defilement, but you can recite it without wudu, but do not touch the Qur'an except with wudu. And there's a difference of opinion in that issue, right? Touching the Qur'an with wudu or not. But Ibn Kathir, according to this paper here, it says that he mentioned that أن لا يمس القرآن ولا يقرأه إلا وهو طاهر. He does not touch it nor recite it except that he's pure. وأن يستاك. وأن يستاك. Again, يستاك becomes mansub after an. وأن يستاك, from the word siwak, miswak, and that he uses a miswak or he brushes his teeth. قبل tilawatihi. Qabla is a dharf causing tilawati to be majroor. Qabla tilawatihi, that he uses miswak before he recites it. He brushes his teeth before he recites it. Wa an yalbisa. Wa an yalbisa, and that he wears. He wears what? Ahsana mansub, because it is the object. He wears the best libasihi, of his clothes. This is the speech of Allah that you're reciting. I know you're at home. I know you're tired. You stayed up all night praying. I know you want to go to sleep as soon as you finish. Man, wear the best of your clothes. This is the speech of your Lord. وَأَنْ يَلْبِسَ أَحْسَنَ لِبَاسِهِ, and that he wears the best of his clothes. وَأَنْ يَسْتَقْبَلَ. يَسْتَقْبَلَ. Let me see. يَسْتَقْبِلَ. Asif. أَنْ يَسْتَقْبِلَ. أَنْ يَسْتَقْبِلَ الْقِبْلَةَ, and that he faces the qibla. The qibla means the direction that you face. So the verb here, yastaqbila, so that you face the direction that you face, meaning the qibla. We know the word qibla meaning the Kaaba. Right? وَأَنْ يَسْتَقْبِلَ الْقِبْلَةَ. قِبْلَةَ mansub maf'ulun bihi. وَأَنْ يَمْسَكَ. وَأَنْ يَمْسَكَ عَنَ الْقِرَاءَةِ, and we would put a kasra here for reading purposes. عَنِ qira'atihi, an al-qira'ati, and that he yamsak, he holds back, he withholds, he stops, right? عن القراءة, he withholds from reciting, إذا تثاءب, إذا تثاءب, if he yawns. التثاءب من الشيطان, right? إذا تثاءب, if he yawns. So far he says, أن لا يمس القرآن ولا يقرأه إلا وهو طاهر, that he does not touch the Qur'an, nor does he read it, except that he is upon purity. وأن يستاك قبل تلاوته, and that he uses the miswak before his recitation. وأن يلبس أحسن لباسه, and that he wears his best clothes. وأن يستقبل القبلة, and that he faces the Qibla, which could show us that in our houses, because there's going to be times when we sit and read the Quran. In our houses, we should have a masjid. We should have a masjid in our house. And there are books written about the masjid of the house, how they should be set up. Meaning, you should have a place where it is known what is the direction of the Qibla. This is the place where you're going to read Quran. This is the place where you're going to make your sunnahs. This is the place where you're going to make Qiyam al-Layl. And it's known that this is the masjid of the house. They don't go in there and play ball or build Legos or, have parties or whatever, play video games. No, this is the masjid of the house. Have a place that you can go comfortably and sit facing the Qibla and read the Quran. وَأَنْ يَمْسِكَ عَنِ الْقِرَاءَةِ إِذَا تَثَاءَبَ, and that he withholds from reciting when he or if he yawns. وَأَلَّا, and this shadda should be on the lam, not on the alif. It should be written Allah, because this is a what is it? Conjugate, not conjugation. I don't know the word in English right now. I'm thinking Abdullah will help me, inshallah. When you put two words together, like do not, don't, right? Conjunction or something like
Like conjunction.
This is what it means. An la wa alla, and that he does not yaqta'a, cut off, and it's mansub because of the an, and that he does not cut al-qira'ata, he does not cut the recitation being mansub, because it's the object of what is being cut. وَأَنْ لَا يَقْتَعَ الْقِرَاءَةَ بِكَلَامٍ إِلَّا لِحَاجَةٍ, and that he does not cut off the recitation bikalam, with speech, إِلَّا لِحَاجَةٍ, except for a need, except for some necessity. Meaning he's right now in a private council with his Lord. His Lord sent down a book to him, telling him and outlining for him what he needs to do and what he needs to stay away from. You're not going to cut that speech off, that counsel from your Lord, except for something which is important and necessary. Set aside a time and read. And don't let that time be interrupted. Because if you let that time be interrupted, chances are you won't complete. Right? وَأَلَّا يَقْتَعَ الْقِرَاءَةَ بِكَلَامٍ, with any speech, إِلَّا لِحَاجَةٍ, except for need. وَأَنْ يَكُونَ, yakun is mansub after an. وَأَنْ يَكُونَ حَاضِرَ is the khabaru an, right? Khabaru an is mansub, or khabaru kana, asif, khabaru kana. وَأَنْ يَكُونَ حَاضِرَ ذِهْنِ. الذهن is your mind. It's the mind, not the brain, the flesh part of it, but your mind, what you use to think. Hadir means to be present. وَأَنْ يَكُونَ حَاضِرَ ذِهْنِي, to be present in the mind, to have your mind focusing on what you're reciting, not thinking about the phone call that you just didn't take because you were reciting Qur'an, and therefore now you're thinking about that while you're just pronouncing the letters. No. أَنْ يَكُونَ وَأَنْ يَكُونَ حَاضِرَ ذِهْنِي, and be present of mind. وَأَنْ يَقِفَ, وَأَنْ يَقِفَ, again mansoob after and. يَقِفَ from وَقَفَ يَقِفُ, to stand or to stop, right? To stop. وَأَنْ يَقِفَ, and to stop. عَلَى آيَةِ الْوَعْدِ, and to stop on the ayat of wa'd, promise. Wa'd is a promise, right? To stop on the ayat of promise. فَيَسْأَلُوا, فَيَسْأَلُوا, and let him ask. So when Allah talks about لَهُمْ جَنَّةٌ فِي تَحْتِ لَهُمْ جَنَّةٌ تَجْرِي مِنْ تَحْتِهَا الْأَنْهَارِ, for them are gardens under which rivers flow. Oh Allah, grant me these gardens. Make me from amongst these people. Make me from amongst the believers who have these gardens. Ya Rabb. Right? A contraction. Jazakumullahu khairan. وَأَنْ يَقِفَ عَلَى آيَةِ الْوَعْدِ فَيَسْأَلُوا, and that he stops on the ayat of a promise and he asks. وَآيَةِ الْوَعِيدِ, وَآيَةِ الْوَعِيدِ, and again ayati is majroor after ala. وَعَلَى آيَةِ الْوَعِيدِ, and on the ayat of wa'id. Wa'id is the opposite of promise, meaning a threat. Wa'id, a threat, and on the threat, right? Hum ulaika ashabun nari hum fiha khalidun. Oh Allah, protect me from being the people of the hellfire. Right? Oh Allah, protect me from hypocrisy. Oh Allah, protect me from those who claim to believe in Allah in the last day and thinking that I'm fooling you and the believers. Oh Allah, protect me. وَأَنْ يَقِفَ عَلَى آيَةِ الْوَعْدِ فَيَسْأَلُوا وَآيَةِ الْوَعِيدِ فَيَسْتَعِيذُوا. So he seeks refuge. يَسْتَعِيذُ from أعوذ بالله. وَأَلَّا, again the contraction. وَأَلَّا يَدَعَا, mansoob after that and that he did not place what? Al-Mushafa. He does not place the Mushaf manshuran. Manshuran. Manshur comes from Noon, Sheen, Ra, meaning to spread and to distribute. Here it means manshur, means open. Do not leave the Mus'haf open. Many of these are recommendations. I'm not going to say they're haram, but they're etiquettes and they're manners. And etiquettes and manners are something that the believers should be known for. To have etiquettes and manners, right? We teach our kids etiquettes and manners. Some things, there's not necessarily haram for them to, it's not haram for them to get up and walk out of the classroom without asking the teacher. It's not haram. They're not going to hell for that, but it's not polite. And we want our kids to be mannered. And so there are manners that we must learn to have with the book of Allah Azza wa Jal and with people and the masjid and so on that might not be haram, but they're manners, like placing your feet towards the mushaf. One brother said, there's no ayah or hadith that I can't place my foot towards the mushaf. True. Can a woman do her laundry and then go hang her bra and her panties on the clothesline in the backyard for everyone of the neighbors to see it? No, akhi, wayada billah. Who would do that? The same thing. Who would put their feet towards the mushaf? Right? The same thing. These are etiquettes and manners. So we're not going to say leaving the mushaf open is haram, but it's from good etiquettes that we don't leave the mushaf open. وَلَا يَدَعَا, and again, going back to the an, فَوْقَهُ شَيْئًا, and that he doesn't place فَوْقَهُ, above it, anything. Meaning he doesn't put any other books upon it. And if he has a library, he doesn't make the bottom shelf for mushafs and the top shelf for fiqh or hadith. No, the top shelf is for mushafs and tafsir, and then hadith, and then fiqh. This is out of etiquettes. وَأَلَّا يَجْهَرُوا وَلَا يَجْهَرَ آسف وَأَلَّا يَجْهَرَ الْقُرَّاءُ الْقُرَّاءُ. Qur'a is the plural of qari. Yajhar meaning to be out loud. Jahr. Salatul Jahriya is Fajr, Maghrib, and Isha. Jahr. Right? وَأَلَّا يَجْهَرُوا قُرْآءُ. And that the reciters of the Qur'an do not raise their voices. بَعْضُهُمْ عَلَى بَعْدٍ. Some of them over others. Meaning they compete and he's louder, so I got to get louder because I can't hear. Rather, you should recite in a way where you hear, but the other person next to you is not bothered. Fil qira'ati, in recitation. وَأَلَّا يَجْهَرَ الْقُرَّاءُ بَعْضُهُمْ عَلَى بَعْدٍ fil qira'ati. Can you not hear or what? Yajharu means to be out loud. To be out loud. To be out loud. Fajr, Maghrib, and Isha are Salatul Jahriya. Right? They recite Fatiha and another surah out loud. While in Dhuhr and Asr, Salah is Sihriya. It's silent. You recite like this. You can hear it. You can hear it, but the people next to you are not bothered. Whereas in Fajr, the Imam recites Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen out loud. Jahriyan. Right? وَأَلَّا يَجْهَرَ الْقُرَاءُ بَعْدُهُمْ عَلَى بَعْدٍ فِي الْقِرَاءَةِ. That they don't get loud and argue with one another with their recitation. Competing and combating one another. وَأَلَّا يَقْرَأَ. يَقْرَأَ mansub after that N in the contraction. And that they do not recite fil aswaqi. Aswaq is the plural of suq, the marketplace. وَأَمَاكِن. Amakin is normally mamnu min asarf, but here it's mudaf ilay, or it's mudaf, so it can take the jar. Wa amakin lagat. Right? Lagat or lagd. You can put a fatha or a sukoon on that gain, either one. And it means noisy. So if you go to a place and it's noisy, you don't go to a construction zone and recite Qur'an, jackhammers and all that stuff going on. You want to go to somewhere quiet. You don't go to the souk where everybody's walking, doing their business. They're buying and selling. Here you are reciting. You're bothering them. They're bothering you. No. وَأَلَا يَقْرَأَ فِي الْأَسْوَاقِ وَأَمَاكِنِ اللَّغَطِ. Not saying it's haram. You can go to the souk and recite. You can go to the noisy place and recite. But from the manners for you to allow your hadir al-dhihn, the presence of your mind, and so on and so forth, these are some of the etiquettes. Are there any questions? كيفية القراءة. كيفية القراءة. How to recite. The how of the recitation. How are we supposed to be reciting? Right? He says, قراءة القرآن والذكر في الصلاة وغيرها. The recitation of the Qur'an and dhikr, meaning saying Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar, or whatever dhikr you might have, dua or dhikr, fi salat, in the salat, and other than them, the tashahud, the adhkar for ruku' and sujood, Subhan Rabbi al-Azim, Subhan Rabbi al-A'la, all of these, right? Fi salat wa ghayriha, in salat and other than that. لا يعتد به. لا يعتد. يعتد. Meaning, it is not considered. This is from the root ayn dal. This is form 8 of that verb. Meaning, it's not considered, regarded. It's not deemed. It's not counted as recitation. Hatta, until يتلفظ به. يتلفظ from the root lam fa dha. meaning to pronounce. Lafz, hatta yatalaffadha. So just moving the lips without noise, or just, as you might see some people standing there making salat and their mouth is closed, they're not moving their lips or anything, this is not counted as salat. They did not recite al-Fatiha. They did not recite those parts. You must tatalaffaz bihi bil Qur'an wa bi dhikr. You must pronounce them. Right? Bihaythu, because hayth is mebni. It never changes, even though we have that bat. Bihaythu yusma'u nafsahu. Until he hears himself. Yusma'u, he is heard by himself. He hears himself. The person next to you may not hear you, but you yourself are reciting it. You can hear it. Duna, again, this is in red as a reminder. Duna tashwish ala ghayrihi. Tashwish or tashwishin, right? Ala ghayrihi. Without tashwish means to bother and to interrupt and to the word bother is the best thing that comes to my mind right now. To bother and to annoy. Ghayrihi, ala ghayrihi, other than him. So that means I don't go to the Qur'an and atalaffaz bihi. I go to the masjid and I start reciting the Qur'an, and there's a lot of other people waiting on the salat. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. No, that's going to bother them. I want to hear it myself. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Like this. Bidun tashwishin ala ghayrihi, without bothering other than him. He says, Yambaghi comes from ba, ghain, ya, or alif maksura, right? Means here, yambaghi, form 7, means it's necessary, or it is befitting. It is good manners. And yatamahala, yarhamukallah. And yatamahala, mansoob after an, fi kira'atihi, in his recitation. Majroor after fi. Mahala from mim ha lam, meaning to be slow. To be slow. Right? Su'ila Anas. Su'ila Anasun. Anas was asked. We don't know who asked, but we know Anas was asked. Radiallahu anhu. An qira'at an-nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He was asked about the recitation of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Faqal. So he said, Kana yamuddu muddan. Kana yamuddu muddan. He would prolong from mim dal, meaning to lengthen. He would mudda, disrupt is a good word, jazakallahu khairan, for tashwish, to disrupt and to annoy and to bother, right? Kana yamuddu muddan. Muddan is maf'ulun mutlaq. He would lengthen a lengthening, meaning he would give it its proper length. إذا قرأ بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم, when he recited Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, يمد بسم الله ويمد الرحمن ويمد الرحيم, رواه البخاري. He would lengthen Bismillah, he would lengthen ar-Rahman, he would lengthen ar-Rahim. What does that mean? He would say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. He would lengthen this Rahman. He would lengthen Rahim. He would lengthen Allah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So anywhere you have these mud tabi'is, these were the alif, a fatah and a alif, a dhamma and a waw, and a kasra and a ya, he would lengthen them. Right? Any questions?
That's for any other salah? Or just
that's in salat, period. That's recitation. If you're reciting the Qur'an, give the Qur'an its haqq. Give it its rights.
That's just the Qur'an.
What do you mean? Yeah, of course. If you have a word, yasta'idhu, you wanna make sure that you pronounce it yasta'idhu, but you're not gonna say yasta'idhu.
No. I'm talking about reciting it where you can hear.
No, reciting it, period. Reciting is only where you can hear. Reciting is where you can hear or other than you can hear. That's reciting it. It's not considered. قراءة القرآن والذكر في الصلاة وغيره لا يعتد به حتى يتلفظ به بحيث يسمع نفسه. It's not considered recitation. It's not even counted as being reciting unless at least you can hear yourself. And we're not going to consider reciting just keeping our mouth closed. So therefore, if you're reciting it, even if it's just you hearing it, you should يمد تمد مدا. Right?
But then there's a lot of people not offering stuff.
Oh, for sure. There's a lot of people, we're not going to say they're not offering salat, but they're definitely violating some of the manners and etiquettes of recitation. For sure. Miqdaru.
So, okay. It's etiquette. It's not, I don't want to say sin, but it's
yeah. Yamuddu Rahman. Yamuddu, he, recite, he. Yamuddu Rahman, he would lengthen ar-Rahman. Wa yamuddu Rahim, and he would lengthen ar-Rahim. This is talking about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Kana, meaning a Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Kana yamuddu Bismillah. Wa yamuddu, he would. Of course it's he. Of course it refers to the women. Of course. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is an example for all of us. No, this is Muhammad and Malika, Junaid are asking a question on the side. I'm sorry. So what are you saying?
I wasn't referring to the stuff like that. I was just talking reciting, period.
Oh, if they're not reciting and they're keeping their mouth closed, they're not reciting. Yes. Now, we would say all the stuff they did in the past, inshallah, be forgiven, maybe due to ignorance. But if they do it from here on out, then their salat is not accepted. Once they know, their salat is not accepted. The Prophet ﷺ, when the Sahabi came and he prayed badly, and the Prophet said, go back and pray, you didn't pray, go back and pray, you didn't pray, until he said, I don't know any better, teach me. He didn't make him pray all his other prayers better, over. But from here on out, this is what you need to know to do. Miqdaruha. Its amount. Miqdar, from the word qadar. Miqdaruha. Its amount. Meaning how much Qur'an should we be reciting on a regular basis. Kana ashabu nabi. Sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The companions of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, they would yaj'aluna. They would make, from ja'ala, they would make. Yaj'aluna li anfusihim. They would make for themselves. Anfus, the plural of nafs, the self. Li anfusihim. They would make for themselves nasiban min al-Qur'an kulla yawmin. They would make a nasib. What would they make? Yaj'aluna nasiban. Maf'ulun bihi mansub. A nasib here, it means a portion. Nasib min al-Qur'an, right? From the Qur'an, kulla yawm. How often would they do this? Kulla yawm. Every day. They had a specific portion which they would read. Walam yadawum. This is majzoom after lam. Lam yadawum. Ahadun minhum. Yadawum, coming from dal waw mim, meaning to continue. And they would not continue. Ahadun minhum. One of them. Ala khatmihi. Right? They would not make it a continuous practice. La yadawum. They would not make it a continuous practice. Ahadun minhum. Anyone from them. Ala khatmihi. On completing it. Khatam. The seal. The finish. The end of it. Fi aqalli. Min sab'ati ayamin. Fi aqalli. Aqalli here is ismu tasgir. In less than. and less than, from the word qalil. في أقل من 7 أيام, in less than 7 days. They would do it, but they didn't make it a habit to do it in less than 7 days. بل ورد النهي rather ورد النهي, the nahyu, the prohibition, warada, was brought or was mentioned, an khatmihi, on finishing it, on regarding finishing it or completing it, meaning completing the recitation of the Qur'an, fi aqalli min 3 ayamin, in less than 3 days. There's a prohibition. You cannot do it. You cannot, and the scholars say, la yadawwam, la lam yudawwam. Do not do it on a regular basis. In Ramadan is not a regular time. You get multiply 10 good deeds for every, and in Ramadan it's even more. So therefore, if you recite the Quran once in a day and once in a night, or once in a day, every day you recite it, if you're able to do so, they say this is fine, because this is not a continuous thing that you would be doing. Rather, it would be you taking advantage of the season. However, as a regular habit, we should have a portion that we recite every day, and we should not do it so in less than 3 days as a prohibition, and 7 days was the norm of the Sahaba. They used to divide the Quran in a portion called Femi Bishok. No, not that dot. Bishok. Right? Femi Bishok. So from Fatiha is the first day. From Al-Ma'idah is the second day. From Yunus is the third day. From Bani Israel is the fourth day. From Ashura is the second day. Wasafat is the third day. Ashura is the fifth day. Wasafat is the sixth day. Waqaf is the seventh day. So that's how they would divide it. Any questions?
Well, that the whole Quran is this day, as it is today.
Yeah.
It's just,
of course. Yeah. After the Prophet ﷺ, the Quran was complete. So during the time of the Sahaba, those who memorized it, it was already in its order that it was in. The Prophet ﷺ used to review the Quran every year with Jibril. And in the last Ramadan before he passed away, ﷺ, he reviewed it twice, making sure every ayat was in its place and every surah was in its place. So that's how they used to divide it.
So they didn't do that during the time of the Prophet?
No, because the Quran wasn't complete.
Okay.
Then he says, Al-Qira'atu Hifdhan. Al-Qira'atu Hifdhan. Recitation from memory. Recitation from memory. إذا كان القارئ للقرآن, if the Qari of the Quran, man حفظه, is the one who memorized it, يحصل له من التدبر والتفكر وجمع القلب والبصر. I'm going to just read it all and then we'll break it down, inshallah. أكثر مما يحصل له من المصحف. So he says here, إذ كان القارئ, if the Qari would, the Qari of the Quran, if he would, from his memory, if from his memory he would, يحصل له, he would achieve من التدبر والتفكر, from contemplating and thinking and reflecting, وجمع القلب والبصر, and bringing together the heart and the insight and all of that. أكثر, if he was benefit from that more, he would achieve that more, مما يحصل له من المصحف, then if he were to, then from what he would achieve if he were to read from the mushaf. فالقراءة من الحفظ أفضل, then the recitation from the hifz is better. وإن استويا, and if they are equal, استويا, from sawa. Right? And here, this alif al-ithnain. If they are equal, if they are on the same level, فَمِنَ الْمُصْحَفِ أَفْضَلُ, then from the mushaf is better and more preferable. So if you memorize the Qur'an, and if your contemplation is better, if you're not looking at the mushaf, then it's better for you to not look at the mushaf. But if looking at the mushaf is better, then look at the mushaf. And if they're equal, then looking at the mushaf is better, because you get the reward of recitation as well as looking from your eyes. Are there any questions? Okay, here's a wasiyah, a advice, right? An advice. He says, ihris akhi, and I say ukhti, right? Ihris, from ha ra sin, meaning to be diligent, to be concerned, to be active. Ihris akhi wa ukhti, oh my brother, and I say, oh my sister. Ala qada'i waqtika, ala qada'i waqtika, on spending your time. Qada is to spend. Qada'i waqtika, to spend your time. Fi qira'atul Qur'an, in the recitation of the Qur'an. Waj'al, and make. Li nafsika, or li nafsiki, to my sisters, and make for yourself. Qadran, a portion. Make what? A qadran, mansoob. Yawmiyan, a daily portion. Qadran yawmiyan, a daily portion. La tatrukhu, la is a command. La tatrukhu, do not abandon it. Do not leave it. Mahman, mahman means regardless. Kan al-amru, regardless of what the affair is. Do not leave that portion of the Qur'an. If you got busy or you got called, there was emergency before you go to bed at night, I know you're tired, read that portion of the Qur'an. Right? وَقَلِيلُ دَائِمٌ خَيْرٌ وَقَلِيلُ دَائِمٌ وَقَلِيلٌ دَائِمٌ خَيْرٌ مِنْ كَثِيرٍ munqati'an. Munqati'an. And a little bit, which is da'im, which is continuous, is khayrun, is better. Min kathirin munqati'an, from a lot which cuts off. So don't say, I'm going to do fami bishok, and you do it one time, and then you don't pick up the mushaf anymore because, man, I can't keep up. Rather, keep a juz a day. Something that you could do in 40 minutes. You should be proud to spend 40 minutes in the counsel of your Lord, right? Make it a juz, right? Make it a juz. The Sahaba would not finish the Quran in less than 40 days. So don't make it less than 40 days, ya akhwan wa akhawat. But the little bit which is continuous is better than a lot which is cut off. فَإِن غَفَلَتْ, or فَإِن غَفَلْتَ, غَفَلْتَ. So if you forgot, أو نمت, or you slept. If you forgot or you slept, فَقْدِيهِ مِنَ الْغَدْ, فَقْدِيهِ مِنَ الْغَدْ, then make it up tomorrow. فَقْدِيهِ, then make it up, like the word qada, for like I miss salah, I have to make qada. فَقْدِيهِ مِنَ الْغَدْ, then make it up tomorrow. قال صلى الله عليه وسلم, he sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he said, من نام عن حزبه, whoever slept on his hizb, on his portion, on his nasib, on his qadrin yawmiyan, whoever slept upon his hizb, his portion, oh an shay'in minhu, or from part of it. Maybe you got called away in the middle of it, so there was an emergency, you only got half of it. Oh an shay'in minhu, or from a portion of it, something from it. فَقَرَأَهُ, then he recites it. فِيمَا بَيْنَ صَلَاةِ الْفَجْرِ وَصَلَاةِ الظُّهْرِ, then let him recite it in what is between Fajr and Dhuhr. then let him recite it in what is between al-fajr and dhuhr. Kutiba lahu, it will be written for him. كَأَنَّمَا قَرَأَهُ مِنَ اللَّيْلِ, it will be written for him as if he recited it at night. And this is going back to the meaning in specific to Qiyamul Layl, to reciting the Qur'an in Taraweeh, in Tahajjud. But it also goes back to your portion, that if you miss it, make it up. Rawahu Muslim. This is narrated by Muslim. وَلَا تَكُونْ Naam, this is a prohibition, so it's medzum. وَلَا تَكُونْ, and do not be mimman, from those hajar al-Qur'ana. Hajara, to make hijrah from, to abandon al-Qur'an, to make hajr of the Qur'an. وَنَسِيَهُ, and forgot it. بِأَيِّ نَوْءٍ كَانَ, بِأَيِّ نَوْءٍ كَانَ, from any type of hajr, any type of nasiyah, any type of forgetfulness. Don't be from those who are neglectful, those who abandon the Qur'an. Any type, even a daily abandon. I don't abandon, I read it every day, but not yesterday. No, don't be from that if you cannot be from that. If you have the ability to not be from those who don't read the Qur'an today, don't be from them. Be from those who read the Qur'an every day, who act upon it every day, who live according to it and learn from it every day. Kahijri, and here's some examples of ayino and can, any type of that. Kahijri qira'atihi, kahijri, like abandoning its recitation. O tartilihi, maybe you recite it, but you don't do so in a slow fashion. Tartilihi, with its slow melodious form. You do it but not quickly, but not slowly and melodious. O tadabburihi, or you recite it and you recite it slowly but without contemplation of it. Or maybe you recite it and you do so melodiously and you do so with contemplation. O amali bihi, or acting upon it, but you don't act on it. O al istishfa bihi, or seeking shifa'a, seeking healing with it. Your leg hurts, recite Qur'an on your leg. Your stomach hurts, recite Qur'an on your stomach. You have a headache, recite Qur'an on your head. Bi'idhnillah ta'ala. Do not be from those. وَلَا تَكُنْ مِمَّنْ حَجَرَ الْقُرْآنِ وَنَسِيَهُ بِأَيِّ نَوْءٍ كَانَ. Do not be from those who abandon the Qur'an or forgot it in any form that can be. Kahijri qira'atihi, like abandoning its recitation. O tartilihi, or abandoning its slow melodious recitation. O tadabburihi, or I'm sorry, my mouth is getting dry. O tadabburihi, or its contemplation. O amali bihi, or acting on it. O al-istishfa bihi, or seeking healing by it. I cannot hear you guys for some reason, or Abdullah left, or he muted himself. I don't know. If there's any questions, then please let me know, either in the comments or try to say them. I hear you, Abdullah. I hear you.
No.
Inshallah ta'ala, tomorrow we'll start from Al-Fatiha and then from the end of the Qur'an. But I thought it was befitting, since number one, this was in the book, and as well to get some etiquettes and some encouragement to go through and continue, even though it's going to be hard on us in these times while we're fasting and our mouth is dry. I thought it'd be fitting to go over these things. Inshallah ta'ala, we'll benefit from this by encouragement, and we'll benefit others through the recordings. And tomorrow we'll start with Al-Fatiha. If there's any questions, I show up at 1:30 in the classroom. But we're not going to start till 1:45, 5:30 or 6:30, you guys' time. 15 minutes before we start, I show up. If anyone wants to come and ask questions at that time regarding what we're doing, then tafaddal. I'm not a mufti, so I can't give fatwas. But if it's regarding what we're doing, inshallah, I know a little bit about it, so I can ask those questions if you want to show up before time, inshallah. Tayyib?
Tayyib.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make your fast easy on you, accept it from you, make it easy for you to get in your portion of the Qur'an and multiply your good deeds endlessly. Barakallahu feekum. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi.